The work you've done today is only valuable when the task is done. So if you do work on something and you're like, oh man, I put in so much work today, like I should take a break. I've done so much, right? I deserve this. If the task is not complete, you've just spent time. You haven't gotten the return on the time that you've invested. There's a huge concept in the world of investing, which I know nothing about, but I know that this one concept is return on invested capital. When I invest $5,000, how soon will I see a return on that investment? Because if I had 1,000% return, that's incredible. But if it's over 1,000 years, like it's worthless, you know? So the most important thing is that not only is there a good return, but it's on a good timeline. And so then with the actions that you take on a day-to-day basis, if you're not getting a return on those actions because they're not complete yet, then you don't deserve anything, you know? And even when you do something, the result of all that work culminating in some useful product, that's the thing that you deserve, you know? The finished product, the success of completing a project, that's the feeling or the thing that you deserve because you spent all this time to get there. Going out and, you know, taking a couple days off or whatever it is just to enjoy yourself or like, oh, I deserve this. You're slowly building up this excuse in your mind to allow yourself to stop working at maximum efficiency. I just sat down for a second because I just took a shower, woke up, and I was like, all right, I'm ready to go for the day. And I was like, you know, I'm just going to sit down for a couple minutes. I was thinking to myself, like, why? You know, whenever I get tired, what was that? Whenever I get tired moving forward, instead of allowing myself to be tired, I should get up and energize myself. You know, go out and do 10 push-ups or just take a quick walk outside or just something that's going to revitalize myself. You know, if I'm feeling down and then I sit down, I'm staying down. I need to, whenever I feel down, get up again. I need to re-energize myself, right? That way I can go back out there and finish a task so that there's actually value associated with the time that I've spent today. If you look at a calendar of time over the past month and all of the tasks that you've done, let's say it's 3 a day on each of these days, right? And one of them is like a shorter task, like 15 to 20 minutes. The other two are like an ongoing work on a project that's going to be finished over 2 to 3 days or over a week. Like, let's say that you always start things, but you never finish them. Well, the time that you spent is not productive. It is only valuable when you have a return on that time, which is when the actual thing that you've done is finished, right? You can actually label this time with, you know, something useful that's done, not just work that you've done, right? So if you look at that calendar over the course of a month and all these different tasks, and they all start out as red, you know, you're in the red unless you've finished the task. Well, the one a day that's 15 to 20 minutes, like you can just check that one off. It's green, right? But the ones that are unfinished projects, you would think like, oh, I've done so much this past month. But looking at it from that visual, no, you haven't. You know, 2/3 of your day, 60 to 70% of all of the time that you spent over this past month, if you never completed those tasks, it went towards something, you built towards something, but there's no return on that time. You're still in the red pretty heavily. So in order to see the return on that time, you have to finish the task. And then you have to define what that is, right? That way, when you look back on the past month, it's not a sea of red, you know? It's now like all these little green dots and maybe a couple red dots. At most, 10% of the time that you've spent over the past month should be on something that you won't see a return for another good amount of time. Not because the thing that you worked on is not going to see a return, but more so, you won't see a finished project for, you know, a certain amount of time. You can't spend 100% of your time working on one thing that you'll never see a return on. You could, right? If you have the life circumstances set up to where you're able to do that. But for the most part, what you want to do is integrate it into your daily life so that, you know, it's an ongoing process of staying in the green 90% of the time and having one project at 10% every month. That way, over the course of, you know, like 10% of your time, over the course of 6 months, whatever it is, all of that red time over the past 6 months now turns green, you know? That's the cool part about viewing your time like this is that you could be in the red for an entire year. And then once January or December 31st hits and like, you know, you finish the project, whatever it is, all of that time that's in the red now turns green. And then it's just incredible when you look at it from that perspective. It's like, holy cow, not only is my time going to waste in a lot of these areas, so I can eliminate most of them, but on top of that, the time that I have spent, if I just finish the project today, even if it was 2 years ago that I started this thing, I'm still in the green for that time, you know? Over time, I'm still able to maximize my efficiency of things I've done in the past by just finishing projects that I start. And so then you have to stay on top of that. You gotta understand what are the things that I want to do in this life. Because for me, the goal in this series of life, even though it says right here, 2024 focus, 50 states, marathon challenge. Even though it says running a marathon in all 50 states, my goal is to become a content creator. You know, I need to write this down on an index card after this video is done, because I changed that in one of my previous videos on this channel to say the goal for 2024 is to become a full-time content creator using the 50 States Marathon Challenge as the thing that I'm creating content about. You see what I mean? There's a difference here. Sorry, I have a mustache hair that I'm gonna have to shave. There's a difference here because if my goal is to run a marathon in all 50 states, well, then I'm being super productive because I've done 24 marathons, right? This year, or 25, whatever it is. I've run in 22 separate states in 2024, right? So I'm super productive. I'm almost halfway through this challenge. So from that lens, the past 6 months, every Saturday or Sunday that I've gone out and run, every night where I'm training, right? All that is green time because I've done something that is now almost finished. Or maybe at the end of the year when I do all 50 marathons, then all that time would turn green, right? But that's not what my goal is with the 50 States Marathon Challenge, because my goal is to become a content creator, you know, a video creator, promote ideas through entertaining videos. That's what my goal is. Well, if that's the case, then, you know, I don't have to wait to the end of the year for it to be a successful journey. I have to be posting videos along the way. How many of the marathons have I posted videos for? Maybe 10 of those 22. So then, you know, of the time that I've already put in, I'm in the red for basically all of it, or over half. And even the ones that I have posted videos, they're not even that good, you know? So at least I'm checking the box, but am I really requiring myself to become better? To be the best in this category is not something that where I just have to show up and then I'm there. To succeed is to show up, right? Or to show up is to succeed nowadays. But to be the best, you have to excel. You have to be the number one person to go to for this one type of thing, because there's a million people all making videos. So of course there's gonna be someone else that's more interesting than you, where other people will just spend their time watching them. So, all this is to be said, the return on invested time comes after you finish the project. And that doesn't have to be 6 months down the road. Most of it will be something that I could finish today and be in the green for today. And as long as you do that for a long enough amount of time, with some red tasks, you know, that will eventually turn green, you will be massively successful, because most people just put their time towards work that isn't really beneficial whatsoever. You can also put another category in there of like yellow time. So for the yellow time, it's not necessarily in the red, right? Because it's things that are useful, but they're not necessarily moving you towards the dream. So it's not in the green either. It's like spending time with friends. It's useful, but do I want to succeed at this one thing? Yes. So it's a balance of like, all right, how much yellow time do I have? How much green time will I have? The green is optimizing for the dream. So the more time that I spend optimizing for the dream, the more completed actions that I have towards this dream that I have for myself, the more likely I am to actually succeed at this thing. So, you know, from that lens, I gotta really ask myself, is it worth my time to go hang out with these buddies of mine that this time, you know, we're not gonna remember this whatsoever. We're gonna forget. It's probably not gonna be productive topic of conversation. Am I gonna be friends with them in a long time, in 10 years, in 5 years? Probably not. Most of them will all go our separate ways. So then this time will be in the red. Well, how many events like that during my weekly schedule do I have? How many, you know, short conversations or phone calls or incomplete actions, yellow actions, either or. So red or yellow actions. Things that take me away from the dream, or just maintenance items that are like, you know, kind of useless, mundane tasks. From that lens, most of my life so far is just a sea of red and yellow. There's barely any green on there. And to succeed, you have to be in the green. Where's the return on that invested time? If I'm putting my things towards things, if I'm spending money on useless things, too many pairs of clothing that just sit in my closet, or, some type of like camera or piece of technology or whatever it is that I buy, like food, snacks that probably aren't the best for my health. Whatever it is, whenever I'm wasting money, that's like buying things that are not useful, that just sit there, and then it's junk. The same thing with your time. If you're not putting your time towards things, spending your time on the things that are useful, your whole life is just junk. And then your experience of the world sits up here in your brain. It's so cluttered up there. So as time goes on, you're less and less likely to be able to achieve anything, any type of dream, even something super small, strictly because of how cluttered your mind is with all the red and yellow, So it's not only the return on invested time, but it's how do I clear up my mind? Because my mind is my experience of the world. I am my experience of the world. If I want to be a successful individual, my experience of the world has to be a successful experience. I have to be in the green for a good portion of that time, or else I'm just a mundane, incomplete individual. That's why I feel empty when I don't do the things that I know I should be doing. It's because that time that I've spent is now gone. It's useless. It's not necessarily gone because I can still salvage that time. It's just a lot more difficult if, looking back on this 50 States Marathon Challenge, if I have to go back to the beginning and I've got 26 videos that I have to edit to get people caught up to speed for the Marathon Challenge while also staying on top of the current marathons that I'm running, it just makes things so much more difficult, right? But it's necessary. I got to go do it. So I'm going to sit down and figure out a way to do it, to dig myself out of the hole that I've got myself into. Because a lot of people would say, like, dude, you're so successful. Like, you're doing the marathons, you're living the dream. But I'm not moving towards my dream of becoming a full-time content creator. That's what matters most. So until I'm doing that, until the time that I spend is in the green, I'm not successful. And I could be doing these wonderful things, but in reality, all I'm doing is spending money on these marathons and spending time. Anybody could do that, Anybody could spend money to go fly out to these marathons. Most people could run a marathon. A lot of people, but not a ton, could run several marathons in a year. It's a cool thing that I'm doing one every single week the entire year, so maybe not a lot of people could do that, and that's a cool thing to be excited for. But the reward is in doing all of that, plus sharing a positive message, teaching other people that they are capable of more, sharing the things that I've learned along the way, showing people what's possible. That, social media, using this experience I'm going through as a way to promote these ideas in the world, that is the ultimate form of success in what I'm achieving or pursuing in this life, this season of life. So then if that's the case, then to be in the green, I have to spend more of my time on the tasks that will lead to complete actions so that I'm not spending a lot of mundane time, and instead I'm putting time towards my dream and completing those projects. That way I'm not in the red. Every marathon where I haven't posted a video, all the travel time and all of the time spent making money to pay for the plane ticket that would get me out there, right? All of that time is in the red, because my goal is to be in the green, is to be a full-time content creator. So any task that's green has to be one that's completed, that gets me close to where I'm trying to go. It's a very extreme way of looking at it, but if I spend 40 hours one work week, I'm just trying to nail this point in your head, right? That way you really understand this. If I spend 40 hours one work week and I make $20 an hour, $800, and my flight to to Montana this weekend cost $853, which it did. If I spend 40 hours working $20 an hour, which I don't, but average person, let's say, then that's all that time is gone to waste if the Montana video doesn't get posted. So I've got 40 hours there. Then on top of that, I've got 3 hours of planning for the whole series, booking the flight, or for the Montana video, not the whole series. Booking the flight, coming up with a video, what's the travel plan look like? Then I've got all of Saturday, plus the money that I spend at the airport, parking, food, an Uber to my hotel, all these different things where I'm spending money. Chipotle once I leave, Uber back to the airplane or airline. Plus all the time on Saturday and Sunday that I could have been spending working on something. For example, window washing. That's my current side hustle. If all that time, the 40 hours plus the planning, plus the Saturday and the Sunday, and then the Monday where I'm sleeping in a little bit extra, that's like that. At the end of the day, I'm spending like 8 days or 7 days or whatever it ends up being of productive time to pull off this weekend for Montana. And if the video never gets posted, I've just wasted 8 days. How, that's 2 to 3% of my year. 52 weeks in a year, so probably around 2% of my year. From that lens, how many weeks have gone by where I've made money, spent it on things that never end up purchasing something that has a return on that invested time? How often am I spending time on things, on tasks that are mundane, so they're in the yellow, or they're red, they're incomplete projects? Because there's only so much time in this world, for me in this world. Well, if most of my time during this week is in the red because I'm not completing the project for the Montana video, which I'm not saying I won't do that. I can do that. I can get back on track this week. At any point in time, I can get back on track. And so this week is the week. I got to sit down and do it. The actions, and have this frame of mind to go into that, to be able to actually follow up on that promise. But how many times have I spent a full week to go out and do a video where it never gets posted, and then the time is incomplete, it's red? I've spent 3 years going after this dream, But that's, how many completed actions do I have? The metric that matters most for succeeding on social media is videos posted, because that means that I'm putting an input. I'm maximizing the metric of input, because it's only a matter of time after the input is there that there will be an output. As long as I'm learning from the results of my inputs, the output shows me what I should do more or better, and then eventually there's higher output. To optimize that would mean to post more videos. How many videos have I posted over the past 3 years, or basically 4 years now, of pursuing this dream of being a content creator? I maybe have, I've got all of 50 States Marathon videos posted. So I think there's 25 because it was 2 days per video. And then I've got like one video on Almost Funny, and I've got like 12 or so videos on the channel. And then I've got like maybe 10 other videos or 15 that I posted on, my Wyatt Moss account. So in total, I've got like 50 videos posted plus like 140 on here. Oh, my phone's about to die. Long story short, I don't have nearly enough for the amount of time that I've spent going towards this dream. So I need to optimize for more complete tasks in the green so that the return on invested time is 100%, or as close as I can get as possible. Hopefully this was helpful. Why not us?